In this video, I'm going to show you some enhancements added to Reaction Play Manager++ version 3 software. The goal for version 3 was to make improvements to the detail view and make editing much easier. Using version 3, I've loaded the solution that analyzes a 5-hole pattern. I'm displaying the information in the detail view. This particular sheet, which is hole 1, hole pattern version 2, it's displaying it like you would typically see it in version 2. Now, when you're looking at a hole, you're usually interested in more than just the true position. You're interested in the linear locations as well as the diameter. So for hole 1, for example, you see if I'm displaying 1x, 1y, 1 true position, and 1 diameter. So I've got 4 dimension items associated with this one hole. The same applies to hole 2, hole 3, hole 4, and hole 5. If you're using version 2, you typically move the dimension items around so they're somewhat grouped together. And you'll pick a leader for one of the dimension items and point it to the feature. So it can be a time-consuming process because you're trying to lay it all out and juggle the dimension items around. A new tool was added to version 3, which will allow you to group the dimension items in a grid on a sheet. We call this new tool a container. This next sheet, the tool 1 hole pattern, this is version 3, displaying the same information, but we're using containers to contain the dimension items. So here you see I've got 1x, 1y, 1 true position, 1 diameter. They're all contained within a grid. Hole 2 is in a 2x2 grid. Hole 3 is in a 2x2 grid. Hole 4 is in a column. And hole 5 is in a 2x2 grid. So I've got 5 containers here which are holding the dimension items. The report is much easier to interpret. You'll see the containers are uniform, so it's easy to see what characteristics are associated with what feature. Another nice thing about containers is the contents of the container will grow and shrink with the dimension items. So if I've got a dimension item that has a lot of instructions based upon some sort of trigger and it grows, the whole container will grow with it. Let's switch to machine B and look at that reaction plan. Here we're looking at the tool 1 hole pattern using the old way, version 2. Notice how the true position overlaps the 1 diameter because it's got more instructions, more words in there, so it caused that dimension item to grow. If I look at the same report using the version 3 enhancement, you'll notice there's really no change. I'll go back to the version 2 copy. Now, if I uncheck the normal severity, look what happens. The dimension item that was pointing to the hole 2 disappears because it didn't meet the warning or critical criteria. So you really don't know for sure which hole 2 is. If I look at the version 3 enhancement, you'll notice that the leader is still pointing to the hole. So it grew and shrank with the contents, but the leader is still there. I'm going to go ahead and check the normal severity. And I'm going to click on this sheet, which is the same data but displayed another way. This particular sheet is displayed without the graphics. I like this the best because it's just easy to read. If I want to drill down and get more information about a particular characteristic, I'll simply click on the More button and I can see the numbers, I can see the plot if I want. Another way of displaying the same information is to put all of it into a grid. Here I put all 5 holes into one grid. I've got a 5 by 4 grid. And on my image here, I included the hole reference so you could see where hole 1, hole 2, hole 3, hole 4, hole 5 is. There's a variety of different ways you can lay out your reaction plan or lay out your solution. It just depends on how you want to display the information. This is particularly useful if I'm dealing with a lot of dimension items. I can create my groups and lay it out and use the grids to more effectively display the information. If you want to learn how to use containers in the detail view, visit the Reaction Plan Manager++ support page in the Becker Quality Solutions website. There's a video there that covers how to set up the detail view. This video also covers some of the new editing tools that are added to version 3.